Welcome to Bogside Chats. We're talking everything DFK and keeping it casual. I'm your host for the night, Franz, and I'm joined as always by Guy Kid. Guy, how we doing?
Doing well after that opening. Maddie, you're officially fired. I'll never see you ever again.
Yeah, no, I can't wait for him to be back because, as I've said, I do not like hosting. It is stressful. But we have someone better than Maddie here tonight. We have Dags from the Jewelers Guild. Dags, welcome to Bogside. First time on with us. How you doing?
Yeah, I think you've been trying to get me on since Fight Club. So I'm happy that the schedule's just finally lined up. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but I'm actually a proud member of the ADFK Guild, so it's like nothing's changed. It's just us guildies hanging out here today. So
just a regular Tuesday night.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that and your cross-pollination of the various guilds in the community. No, but glad to have you on. Mega wanted to come on too. We said no, we don't want him. We just wanted Dags, so he's not with us tonight. No, that's a joke. Mega couldn't make it, but yeah, we have some fun stuff planned to talk about tonight. The Jewelers made some news recently. They speaking of guilds, they kind of went and took the first step as far as sponsoring hunts. So that was very cool.
Yeah, we got together some Moksha ruins because people bitch about those the most. And like I'm always like, don't up the rarity. I'm like, what can I do to get more Mokshas out there without increasing the rarity? So raffles. And yeah, it's been crazy. We saw there was that one win where it was like 2 people won all 5. That was nuts. But yeah, we wanted to take the first step there. We knew that if we had something that it was going to be on Mythic Squad to one up us. So I'm just kind of excited to see what they put out there because, you know, they're going to bankroll this baby, right? They're going to be giving away, what is it going to be, 1 Mythic hero over 10 days? I bet.
Well, I think someone asked in the AMA, and I don't know if it was Mythic Squad that asked, but they asked about hero NFTs.
That's right.
And whether that would work with the contract. I think the answer was no.
So
I think it was no. Can
you dark summon 2 Mythics together and give away the crystal?
Ooh, that's interesting.
Ooh.
I know. Keep it Mythic.
I like that a lot. Yeah. So Starbuck, it's on you now to one up Dags and the Jewelers. ADFK have been talking about a little something as well. We were thinking 11 Mokshas, just literally just barely one up you. No, but it's definitely cool seeing how we can start getting involved from a community standpoint, right? It's all these sponsored raffles and things like that are a lot of fun, but it's when we have the ability to put something in the game ourselves, that's really cool.
Truly interacting with the game, like just continuing to complete this whole ecosystem, the whole marketing or item loop, if you will, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys are still ahead of the game because you have access to the airdrop feature, which I don't think any other guild has. So that's a lot of power.
It's true. You never know what might show up in your wallet. Get airdropped in the ADFK guild. Whiff for everybody. Dog whiff hat. Just going to get airdropped in there. No, but all right. So it sounds like it was SI that asked. So shout out to him. Great question. Cool. You guys are doing more than just that sponsored hunt. You got a few other things coming up. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Pink Slips tourney and the Jewelers Joust?
Yeah. So right now we're kind of waiting here for Duels to drop on both of those things. Right now the plan is to have the Pink Slip tournaments on Sunday. So if Duels don't hit by this week, we might have to push that back. I mean, I'd rather him do it right because we can always push back the tournament. So, I mean, he's calling this like the last season of Duels, right? Because it's the last time they really get a break to fix it and make sure it's perfect. And I don't remember what stream I was watching where he was on it. I think it was ADFK.
Last night, yeah, it was Raffle Tickets.
Where he's just like, he's like, okay, now everything we want to implement, like it's going into combat after this. He's like, Duels is a completed game. We're going to let it rock. So He's going to implement a keepsies feature, which might be perfect for the pink slip duels on private. Did you guys hear that part?
Mm-hmm.
The keepsies, and so
That was
hopefully
he was describing the death match, right?
no, he snuck
Okay, maybe I
keepsies in
missed
there
that
too.
part.
He said deathmatch and keepsies, and it was really hard to hear because I don't know, something was up with his mic, but it was hard to hear. And what it made me think is it is just pink slip duels.
That's awesome.
So if we have the smart contract written, we can have private matches that are set for keepsies, and then the heroes will just automatically come over, and then that'll take a lot of the kind of the administrative effort off of us.
Mhm.
All we have to do is make sure that they burn their heroes and then make sure they level them up. So
Yeah, and that makes it a little easier as far as, not that I think anyone that's participating would, take their ball and go home, so to speak, but there's always a scenario that someone loses, gets mad, and just stops answering chat and things
Yeah.
like that. There's a little more security with it this way.
Well, I've been in general chat. There's people who will pick up their ball and go home.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
and then the
yeah.
Jeweler's Joust. Yeah. So Jeweler's Joust is, I think we might change the graphics so it's like a slot machine, but we're kind of working on that. And so it's like there's restrictions for levels, restrictions for rarity, and then restrictions for classes. And then the three of those will just spin. It'll bink, 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 and that's what the week's worth of tournament or the week's worth of duels will be. And we're not going to have it locked just to duels. Eventually, we hope to get it to like PvP combat and stuff like that. But I think for the original one, it's just going to be duels, and there's going to be the first round of duels where I think you fight everybody, and then whoever goes on to the next round, then it becomes a tournament with prizes and stuff like that. And it's supposed to be more like a league, so the prizes aren't like huge, right? We're talking maybe like 500 crystal and a weapon, or maybe like a regular stone or something like that, because the whole point of it is to just be kind of a continuous league. And then there's going to be Mega's building a website where we can all shit talk to each other, and there's going to be leaderboards and stuff like that. So the website's not going to interact with DFK. It's going to be completely separate, but he can post leaderboard schedules and so on. And so looking forward to that because I mean, I think it's just kind of that'll be, and the one thing about that too is, for example, the first one is only heroes with codex, level 5, and rares. So it's like someone can literally walk in and compete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
no, I really like the idea of it being a league. These tournaments are fun, but they're almost stressful at times. I think SI could probably attest to that. That was probably a very stressful weekend for him and for Too Honest and everyone else involved there. But with a league, it's it's great. It's I play my match and then I get on with my day. And then I might not have a match for another 3 days, something like that. If people want to sign up for the Jeweler's Joust, is that still open? And how would they do it?
So the signups are going to be on the website, and the website's not live yet. So
Okay.
we haven't even had. We pretty much did a TBA on it because we didn't want to be in a situation where I think Mega started building this whole thing a month and a half ago, and he's like, surely Duels will be ready in like a month, right? And he's cautious, so he just put a TBA on it, and so more details on that will be coming soon. And it's all based off of community interest. So if people aren't really into it, we're gonna probably do a test run with maybe 3 seasons or something like that. And then if we're really getting interest in it, then we'll let it fly. And it'd be cool if the DFK team's willing to kind of sponsor things and contribute to prize pools. So hopefully it's not. We'll have an entry fee, and I think some of that will go to purchasing prizes, but I think the plan was to give almost all of that back to people who win.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
And if DFK team could help out there,
yeah.
it's always nice when the prizes far out exceed that entry fee. So
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, you mentioned duels taking a little bit longer. I'm actually loving that.
me too.
I have a lot of raffle tickets because of the ADFK arcade minigame, and I'm getting about 40 airdrops a day. They're all lesser crystals, like things like that. There are a lot of mokshas sprinkled in there, which is helpful.
Yeah.
But but yeah, it's very nice being one of the few people with raffle tickets. So this can
Yeah.
keep going on forever as far as
Looks
I'm
like I
concerned.
ran out last week. I didn't even realize it.
Yeah, you
It's
also
been a couple days since my airdrop.
Do I see 27 mokshas sitting there?
Don't worry about it. I just sold 10 yesterday.
You might be getting text messages when I have level ups that hit. We'll
you
start
need
a tab.
55 of them, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've got half of it.
Yeah. No, that's cool though, and I also like the idea of saying, you know, that the Jewelers Joust might turn from duels to PvP down the road. Frisky was saying some similar things about, you know, I think the question was, you know, could we see dual tournaments or dual things where it's, you know, only specific classes or only specific rarities or different things like that. And he was saying that we're definitely going to see that when PvP comes. So I think that was something that we all kind of thought, but it was nice to kind of get confirmation that they're thinking along the same lines. You know, I know a lot of people have been having the conversation about dark summoned heroes and them being a little different. I mean, I think now we'll see tournaments where, you know, no dark summon heroes this tournament. That's great, you know, and some where it's just dark summon heroes, PJs only, things like that. So
Yeah.
it's going to be fun.
Well, I can't wait. Like, you can, whatever you have to say about dark summoning, that's your opinion. I can't wait to do a level 100 dark summon. Like, I have heroes who are leveling specifically for that. And maybe, you know, maybe it'll take some time, but I mean, they said it's possible that they might just, like, 100 won't be the cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, expansions, if we get to that point and there's nothing else to build, I mean, you know, we're talking years down the line now, but yeah, I could see them adding an extra 20 levels.
Yeah. So if you're building for a level 100 hero, what are you prioritizing stat wise? And there is a right answer to this, by the way.
Honestly, it depends, because the easy route would be just to go vitality and
that's
intelligence.
the answer he wanted.
Yep.
Because if you go vitality and intelligence, you're just gonna have like a fat hero
right out of the gate.
But there's something special about a ninja whose top two stats are luck and agility.
1000% agree.
Because it's like, it's like how much vitality are you gonna want on like a ninja anyway? We don't know.
Well, the answer is as much as humanly possible.
Yes. Well, no, because there's going to be a point of diminishing returns, and we're going to find it.
And if you do stack Agi as much as you can too, there might be a point where the other team doesn't even get to go.
But there's also could be a chance where if you do stack Agi, it hits a certain threshold, and if you pop past it, maybe it glitches like how Pokemon did, and they just fix it without redoing the entire system.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you player
So
one,
fast
you got to
that
go
you're the
backwards to go
slowest
forwards.
one. Yeah. I don't know.
I think so. I've been thinking a lot about Agi and evasion. And I know from listening to George stream Saturday night at 9:00.
9:30. Thank you.
9:30. I never watch live. I always catch it Sunday morning. But I know you're big on Foresight as well.
Yes, sir.
I'm very big on it, and so like I find myself thinking about evasion a lot. I really think it's going to be one of those .s formulas, because I think it's one of those stats that or mechanics that they really can't let run wild, where it would not be fun at a certain point if you just can't get a hit in.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, in PvP, every game I've played, hit rate, and crit rate, and speed have been king. So, I mean, I think I look at Foresight and I'm like, this is an advanced trait. This is going to get nerfed. But until it does, I'm just gonna milk it. It's like what I said on the AMA, right? Ape into broken mechanics, and then when they change it, just ape into the next ones. Who cares? That's part of gaming, man.
Yeah, and they're gonna be changes as we go. I see SI chiming up in the chat.
I was just gonna say, I see you.
Yeah, and you know, while Foresight I think is very powerful and could be nerfed, I don't think it needs to have a campaign started this early against it like SI is doing. But the way that I look at it is, yeah, it'll probably be nerfed, but if I can have any percentage more evasion than my opponents, especially if I have two of them, I'm happy. Like that's just my goal, is just having that little added bit of evasion. You know, if it ends up being 3%, 4%, I'm fine with that.
Well, they could always nerf it and then reevaluate it too, because they could be like, okay, it's not doing what we want it to do now. Now nobody's using it, and it's like Workhorse. You hear him saying that kind of stuff all the time. And I mean, that's why we got Amnesia on the Archers. And speaking of Amnesia on the Archer, I think Priest is next. So if you're enjoying your Priest life, expect some Amnesia soon, I think. Because you could just be reckless with those heals. It's really strategic which one you use. But the fact that you can just spam the low level ability if you want to, I don't know if that's their intention with the Priest. Maybe it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some kind of change has to happen with that low level, that tier 1 heal, whether it's Amnesia. I feel like it shouldn't have Amnesia, because I don't think with a Priest you should ever be in a position where I guess you wouldn't be in a position where you can't heal, but there are the mana constraints that on the other abilities as well. It gets pretty steep there. But maybe it's just that it doesn't heal as much. Maybe they up the mana needed for it. But that tier 1 heal, it is kind of an every round type of thing. Or can be, right?
How do you feel about 100% success rate on heals and not having a hit rating on it?
I don't think that's bothered me. Yeah, and maybe that's just kind of like, yeah, it just hasn't bothered me because the target that you're trying to heal is like, the whole thing with hit rate is there's an assumption that when you're trying to hit something, it doesn't want to get hit by you. And so when you have teammates who are like, give me this buff or give me this heal, they're not going to be like, try and hit me, fucker. They're going to be like, thank you. So that's kind of why I'm okay with the 100% like no miss on heals.
Yeah.
I could see an effectiveness type thing where maybe it plays off of focus and maybe it's more of a range for the heal. Whereas right now it's
like
it's a
the
static
Priest
amount.
screwed something up and has a 50% heal or something like that.
Yeah, something like it, like again, going to Pokemon, like it wasn't very effective,
Right.
I don't know. It's interesting. I think the idea of missing with heals would be a little bit too triggering.
Yeah, I do agree, and I agree. I don't think Amnesia is the right answer either, but there's probably something there.
Well, when I think of like a healer, right, you're literally calling the power of a god to heal one of your buddies. Tell me you're not. There's no fatigue from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, again. More.
Lore wise, the word amnesia kind of, it's a little weird, but like having to kind of charge back up before you can use something again. Like that's what amnesia accounts for, but lore wise, I don't love the word amnesia for it.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Maybe charge or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. What were we gonna go to next? See, this is where hosting gets difficult. The segues.
Well, Maddie is saying that the host class bailed.
Yeah, we would have let Mega host if he was here.
Dude,
I
Mega's a good host.
We need to have a host off one night, see who has the better host. We'll just put the two of them together and see who can segue better.
Would it be a segue competition, or would Maddie just like hog the mic and just not give it back?
And we're throwing shots. Here we go.
You know what's my least favorite thing, and I won't name the person or people because there's a lot of people who do it. Is like they'll ask you for an opinion, and then you'll give your opinion, and they'll just be like, "Well, awesome," and then let's talk about.
Yeah, where the question is a segue for them to speak about what they want to speak about.
It's like, why did you ask me if you don't have any like input? I don't know. That's awesome. Yeah, awesome.
Cool. So this little sidetrack we got on gave me enough time to look at the agenda here. So what I have listed next here is PvP. So I guess Dax just talk. PvP, go.
Sure. You think that I left a comment on about PvP, and I was really concerned about this because there are some games where they take all your heroes and they what's the word I'm looking for? They scale them up or scale them down to the same level.
Mhm.
And I put a comment in the AMA questions where I said, are we going to have this bullshit where we scale down or scale up so that everyone's the same level? So I can go in with my level 15 and we'll just do like some average calculation to scale it up to 20 so that everyone's level 20. And I think it was Bolon jumped in and was like, why would we ruin the game like that? And I was like, yes.
I'm glad that was the answer.
So I think with PvP, there is going to be this mad push for level 20s.
Yeah.
Because I did duels. I went in with level 15s and I got smoked by like all level 20 dread team. And I was like, I think if I had 5 levels with the heroes that I have here, I wouldn't have lost this. And I think that's what PvP is going to feel like. And then with that same sense, Fox, when he was talking about duels, was talking about what was the way there was a word that he said, but he made it seem like there were like different like groupings that were going to be coming in. Shit. I texted it to somebody.
Was this during the AMA or was this during?
No, this was during the AFK yesterday. ADFK yesterday.
I did listen to that before this.
Lobbies. He made it sound like there would be different lobbies.
Okay.
So maybe there will be PvP lobbies where it's 15 to 20, 10 to 15, 10 to, and I hope so. Yeah. But also, we were talking in the Jewelers Guild, we were talking about like how kind of apprehensive we are with PvP to be released before mobile's ready. Because this, Zan brought, I don't know if you guys know Zan or not. He's freaking awesome. Yeah. He brought some statistics about like average revenues, and he was showing like mobile versus console versus PC, and it's alarming.
A lot of people don't have a computer that they sit down on, but it's not part of their daily routine to go sit down at a desktop. But if you have access to something on mobile, they'd be on it all day, type of thing.
Mm-hmm. And it pretty much excludes us entirely from like the Asian market.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The idea of having something in an app store is big. That goes a long way to get player engagement and get more users. So that's something that I don't think is very close though at the same time.
But I'm looking forward to PvP. I think when people were like shitting on the game when it was crashing from 20, I think like 12 times a day I would just say I'm here for the PvP.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we're actually getting closer to it, I'm like finding out that I might be a crafter instead of a PvPer. But we'll see. I like beating people I know in games. So
I don't know. You're Mr. Giant Slayer. You really think you're not going to be a PvP guy?
Oh, it might not be the meta. So.
Might not. Going back to what you said about lobbies, I think that could be really cool. I think, right off jump, we probably won't see anything like that. But like as they kind of build out the infrastructure around PvP and we get, crisp matchmaking and the idea that you can enter a different room for different specifications. If you're Barovia, shout out Barovia, and don't want to play any Dark Summoned heroes, maybe there's a lobby where it's just, pure heroes, as he might say. That's interesting. And the idea of the levels. So I was thinking of something similar where not so much that they would automatically level everything together, but the idea of it being an option in a game mode where, where it could be leveled out, or just the concept of if you're doing things by level and I have a better shot at winning at a level 15, maybe. Yep. The idea that now we're deciding maybe I won't level this hero up any further. Hey, it's a common and it has really good stats at level 15. Are those good stats going to continue? It's a common. Am I going to be able to keep pace? Maybe not. But at level 15, he's really solid. Maybe I just leave him there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember World of Warcraft PvP. And the people who would just do
your level 9s.
Was it Bloodsong Gulch with the freaking the capture the flag one, where you would just have these guys geared out to the 9s, and so it's like you're going to have that dude who is going to do a greater stone on Mythic heroes and level them with greater crystals all the way up and keep them with the freshest best gear and just wreck people in PvP. You can't. It's unavoidable. So I mean, take what you want with that, right? It's part of the game, unfortunately.
Right.
So
and everyone's going to find their own corner and
not
their
cheating.
own area that they can play in.
It's not cheating. It's just I have to fight this fucker, and this sucks.
Yeah, I mean, that's the different strategies that are going to come out of a game like this. It's with every new edition, we see new ways of people, again, not cheating, but trying to game that system. And that's, I think one of them. I'm interested. I was surprised to hear you say that you're a crafter, that you might be a crafter, though. Have you started collecting those heroes?
So I have you ever played Elder Scrolls Online?
A little bit back in the day.
There was a specific enchantment in that game where if you wanted it, you could only get it from me. I just owned the entire market. If something was lower than my price, I bought it and I posted it for my. I would have it literally have it running while I was working.
That's
and awesome. I owned. There was a specific enchantment for every piece of armor where I owned it on a certain server. I don't remember what the server was because it was before I had kids, but like the idea of owning a certain market, like if you open the market one day and there's only Greater Atonement crystals for one price and it's on my name, like don't be surprised. Like I saw you looking at those Greater Atonement crystals, and I'm like, I swear to God, I get paid tomorrow if he buys any of those.
Well, you're going to need land if you're going to corner the market on some aspect of crafting, right? Did Jewelers have any land today? Any of your members?
It's funny you say that as Ogre rolls. No, the Jewelers do not have
speaking
land.
Of land, there's Ogre.
Yeah. And I know you guys have land. I know Mythic has land, but yeah, we don't have land, but
well, Bogside personally doesn't. ADFK Guild does, but there might need to be a Bogside purchase in the future.
Now, so how different are? I thought all of you were in.
Well, no, we are. Don't start sowing dissent amongst our ranks here. No, we are. But just
whenever I talk about like ADFK, and then I talk about like the ADFK show, Worms show, and then you guys' show, you guys are always a subset of the ADFK Guild in my mind.
Yes,
so
correct.
like when I look
and the Jewelers pod is as well.
Apparently,
subset of the ADFK Guild.
Until you guys ban me from the guild chat,
It's been discussed.
It's
been discussed.
I know.
You paid your dues, though. There's nothing.
Maddie told me when I was drunk, or when he was drunk on Wowie's stream last week. Man, he was before I got that summon. He's like, I need you to declare your allegiance to Jewelers.
That wasn't just the alcohol. He was texting us to make you do it tonight. So we're gonna refrain. But
hey, look at my name. I mean. Clearly, I'm a jeweler.
I've said this before, but we're going to have a meeting of the 5 families of all the guilds. The Jewelers Guild will not be invited, and the subject at hand will be dags. So we'll figure it out somehow.
You got to ask yourself, do you really not want dags in your Discord?
You've never done anything bad. It's just we got a lot of secrets flying around in there, and we can't have them, being shipped off to the Jewelers.
Shit. It'll probably take me 7 weeks to figure out that you guys kicked me out.
But I mean, that is interesting once PvP starts, how, I don't think we'll have a big shift in the community sentiment as far as like, everyone's very helpful right now and stuff like that. Like, I don't see that changing, and I don't think it should, but there might be certain things like, ADFK, we have a Bob Nothing, or excuse me, a Just Crypto. And he comes up with a lot of gameplay alpha. Maybe we'll be a little more careful about what gets shared to others.
Just the Jewelers are never gonna make you limit your YouTube content just to keep guild secrets. But see, Sticks Intern is bringing up the real points here. Jewelers are always welcome to merge with the squad. See, they're trying to annex us. I like how
you're take one member when you can take an entire
out.
Wow.
Kick dags out. It's not. No.
That was discussed.
PvP guild.
That was discussed
realm, and you guys are talking about not having us in your guild. Come on.
That was discussed during Wowie's guild as well, or Wowie's stream as well. The idea of Mythic Squad being too big to fail and maybe being too big for DFK's good, but just what I've been hearing rumblings on the street. I don't know who was saying it exactly, but Okay, big part of PvP is going to be equipment and subclasses and things of that nature. Want to call something back to last week's Bogside chats. We had Hubert on, and we got him talking about subclasses and the way that they work. And I think some of this was knowledge already, but I do want to at least touch on it. So I had this up because I forgot it was on my screen when we started the show tonight. But we have here, and it might be a little hard to see, but we have Sir Worm's spreadsheet that he put together that shows the different classes and what equipment they can have. So just to set the stage for anyone in chat that wasn't watching last week, you should go back and watch it. Hubert gave us a lot of good insight into the way that he thinks about the game. But one thing that we asked about was how subclasses will operate, right? Best example, I think, is an archer. All of the archer's moves are a product of him shooting his bow. If I have a knight with an archer subclass, am I going to be able to use multi-shot even though I don't have a bow? And the answer that he came to was no, you would have to have in your secondary weapon slot, you would have to have that bow, and you would need to switch to your subclass to use it. He did say that switching does not take a turn, but you would not be able to switch back until your following turn. So the implication there being now defensively, you don't have your shield out anymore. You're going to take more damage sitting there with your bow and arrow out. So thought that was really interesting. Is that, I guess, Dags, what do you think about that? Is that changing the way that you're kind of thinking about hero creation? We were talking about dark summoning and how you do a lot of it. And one thing I've always admired about your dark summoning, it's always very calculated as far as what you're trying to go for. Is that going to change anything for you?
So kind of one of the things that subclass theory has always hurt me has been like when I have like a knight priest, because it's so, or maybe not a priest, maybe like a knight wizard or something like that, because it's so difficult for the knight to get like intelligence. So it's kind of the route I wondered if they would take. I kind of thought like instead of like to do a certain move, you would need there would be like a strength or intelligence restriction or like a wisdom restriction, and then like a weapon restriction.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't, when we were talking before the show though, you did mention passives. So can a knight have like any archer passives without having the bow equipped?
Yes, so that is something that he mentioned, is that passives will not be dictated by this switch. Passives are always on.
Okay. So I mean, for some of my like really serious heroes, I'm deeply considering subclasses. But right now it's kind of hard to factor that in, because a lot of the subclasses I go for are advanced. And without those advanced codexes or codices or whatever, how do you say it? Without an advanced codex, it's hard to be like, okay, I want to focus on this one.
Right.
But yeah, it's probably, I mean, I don't think I own any of my PvP heroes yet.
Okay.
So, they're all
is
going.
Is that just because of the idea of level 20 dark summons? Is that what you're playing for? And like, so I guess the question is, when you have your first, say, 4 heroes to hit level 20, are 2 of them going to be dark summoned?
Yeah, I haven't really decided yet. Like I might just throw some in and have a low ranking for a little while, but I really don't want to build like those core group of heroes that I'm going to shoot all the way to 100 without an intention. All my heroes, I'm sending as many of them up as high a level as I can, so I can summon a dark summon with them later. But there's none that I'm like really looking at and being like, yes, this is going to be my PvP hero, because I don't have the full information. And you can go the Mosh route where you just keep them at level 1, which I respect that.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, I'm doing it with a seer right now, actually. He's level 1 and he has 12 level ups just sitting and
Ooh,
just
okay.
waiting.
So a dark summon one. Okay.
Yeah. So you can do that where you keep him at level 1, but I'm assuming, and I've been saying this a lot lately, like this first generation of heroes are really just going to be absolute garbage when we compare them to like that, like, even the next gen or whatever the generation that we first hit level 100 at, they're just going to be miles away better. And it's like this first generation of heroes where we're building these without a codex, without subclasses, they're just going to be trash compared to the heroes that we make. So I have heroes that I'm building, and it's nothing like super serious, but I'm sure they're all going to get wiped and dark summoned to build some serious PvP hitters.
Okay, so more of the idea of accumulating parts
Yes.
right now and leveling them up.
And I need a ton of those parts because, I mean, you've seen the summons where I'll go in with 2 priests and I'll come out with an archer, and I did like 5 of those in a row, and they were all not priests.
Yeah.
So it's like I need lots of parts.
I did on this pod 2 legendary priests, both with Sage sub and a greater stone. And I was ready to have that priest sub. It was going to have the best wisdom growth in the game, and a legionnaire popped out.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even get the Sage sub. I think it was a legionnaire warrior. So, it does happen. Want to call out a comment made by Stick's intern here. So you've pushed my knight to the back. I whip out rapid shot and small stone. And so, yeah, that could be good. But one thing that we need to kind of remember with these subclasses, and this is why I'm thinking of, like, do I even want an archer sub on something like a knight? Because that's still proccing off the dex. Like, your dexterity is what's going to govern that. So while it could be nice to, be able to hit back row if maybe you don't need a lot of damage, it's not going to hit like an archer.
Mm-hmm. Because you're used to 50 dex.
Right. And similar to you were saying, a wizard sub, or even a priest sub, right? You might think priest sub is great because I'll have those heals ready to go. It's a pretty low whiz on a knight. Again, using knight as the example, like how much of a heal you're really getting there.
Yeah. Now, where I'm not worried is like if I have like a ninja wizard, like just my ninja getting shot back to the back row. I'm pretty sure my ninjas are going to be built with some decent intelligence. So I might have like a level 20 ninja who can hit like a level 15 priest, which might be better than nothing if I can't get him back to that front row.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, the idea of just having something, even if it's not the best of it. I think there are going to be some interesting combos made and ways that they're used. And to me, the heroes that have like even a little stack confluence, like you mentioned Ninja's intelligence is 50%. Seems weird. Like when I look at it, I'm like, oh, like, yeah, it does. Because I don't think of that as much of a magical class, but it has that little bit of crossover there.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you can't think of intelligence in terms of magic. You have to think of it in terms of mana and how many abilities you're going to get to use.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's what I've been struggling with my knights, is more warriors than knights, but those martial classes is the lack of intelligence and the lack of mana, and the idea that I'd be halfway through a rockbach fight and I'd start hitting them with potions already after 4 moves.
Yeah. I think we're going to see like a lot of like seer and scholar with subclass of like damage dealer for magical damage dealer.
Mm-hmm.
I got a feeling we're going to see a lot of that. And you're just like, oh, thank God it's a scholar. Like, I know what I have to do. And then you're going to be like, oh, it's casting fireball. I'm fucked.
Yeah, and we're going to have to be looking out for it because, again, you can switch to it that turn and make the move.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really lose anything when you're going with those like classes. Your wizard sub and a staff isn't going to have any less defense for while your opponent's going than your scholar or seer primary would.
Yeah, or right. It's like you look at wand and you have scholar, you have seer, and you have wizard. You can't tell if that scholar's in wizard mode or if that scholar's in seer mode, or I mean scholar mode. What are we talking about?
Yeah, they are going to have to kind of quantify that or label that in some way, because that's something that we brought up to Uber too. Is with all the Vizzies, like what, how will I know? Like, is it going to be on the player to determine what that hero actually is and what that hero has? Because you put it in a bloater suit, with a fishing rod weapon Vizzy on it, you have no clue.
Are Vizzies going to be our greatest weapon?
I mean, yeah, I think I think it's gonna that first few minutes, and he did say that maybe they do a toggle where you could toggle them off for your opponent. But I think we're gonna have to pay very close attention. I don't think PvP is gonna be something where you're going in and just button mashing by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Judging by our creators, I'd agree.
Okay, and SI making a good point. You know, they originally said potions wouldn't take a move. Suspect they're gonna get initiative treatment, as just said. So yeah, it's gonna be a tough thing, right? Because if it takes a turn but you get initiative back, finding that kind of right fit where it's worth it to switch to the subclass. Like I don't know that I believe that you should be penalized for using your subclass. I don't know.
I mean, I'm looking at this chart here, and like,
Let me see if I can zoom this in.
I just really want Warrior Sub Dread.
Yeah.
Like, my God.
I mean,
just keep like a two-handed axe. Oh.
Yeah. Well, so and that's you keyed in on a good point there that when you have the like classes, I believe this is what you said, is that you won't have to switch. You'll just have access. The weapon is what's dictating. You're not switching to your subclass, you're switching weapons. So, you know, a warrior sub can use 7 different weapons, but you know, if I have a Dread Knight with a warrior sub and I'm using a two-handed axe, I won't have to switch. I'll be able to just use those warrior moves right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, it really puts you into position to, like, if you don't get the pure class where you're using the capstone, like, do you want a bard with a subclass of archer, like archer subclass spellbow subclass archer?
Yeah,
and that comes into what passes are available down that track, or are stats going to get you enough through a subclass?
Well, yeah, and I guess that's why it's a good thing that they're making it to where switching to that weapon doesn't take your turn. Like the moving it back is what actually like gets you, like, you can't do that till your next turn. That's important because otherwise these I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but where it's like the sub and the primary using the same weapon type.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would be overpowered if they didn't have it that way.
No, that's a great point. It would just add that much more value to them, to the point where a priest sub on a martial class would almost be like not usable if it's taking a turn to switch. And that's just one example.
Anyway. Like your tank classes, if they have a caster sub, I mean.
Well, so the one thing that I've been looking at is the passives, and like the idea that again, we haven't seen the codex, but a paladin sub, I can see a scenario where a paladin has an aura as their passive where it's some kind of gaining health automatically, even if it's a small amount, or something that's going to be very beneficial to have as that subclass. Things like knights and berserkers we've talked about have 3 passives that they can use.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't want to switch. Maybe I just want to, you know, have that knight sub and have those 3 passives on. And then, yeah, if I need a taunt, I can have taunt out there too, or mighty strike or something like that. Switch to it if I need to, but going in with the game plan of like, hey, I don't want to switch. I don't want to mess that up.
But historically, passive abilities haven't been as good as active abilities, so it's kind of hard for me to think that way. And you're kind of limiting your team comp, right? If I have a priest who can just act like a wizard if the priest position is worthless, or let's say I get thrown into a team that's more like Rockbox and I need to burn them down and I can't just sit there and stall, the ability to just kind of turn a priest into a wizard versus like now I'm stuck with my knight up front.
Yeah.
You know, it's all like, I think we need to consider like this whole subclass meta is going to allow some maneuverability in our teams to completely, like, you can't lock into one thing, and it just allows you, like, you have 3 heroes, but if their subclasses complement their primary classes, you can potentially have a team and a half, right? Because aren't the subclasses only going to go up to like a certain level? You can only get like
Yeah, I believe as far as you're talking about how many moves you can use from the subclass.
Yeah, you won't get
I'm
the whole
forgetting.
tree. So
Yeah, I'm forgetting the percent. There's a cap on how much of the subclass you can use. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like
Um,
having a team and a half, and you can pivot.
Yeah, I would say there's still that limit of I can only use so many moves. So it's not really like I'm adding more of a more options, right?
Yeah. Well,
But
look at how game changing the level 15 abilities are, and that's only the first stage of what we're going to see in these ability trees.
And maybe Justin's right. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Like if passive meta isn't that big, maybe subclass meta won't be that big.
I I like what you're saying about the priest and the wizard. I I don't think I kind of misspoke when I said knight or berserker on anything. I think they give you, because of those subclass passives, they give you kind of more of a chance to like not worry about it. But at the same time, I believe all the knight's passives, if not at least two of them, proc off of endurance. If I have a wizard primary, that's not going to do much for me. That little
Right.
boost that I'm getting. So it's not perfect, definitely. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the different kind of strategies. I know someone like Wowie, who's digging into these codexes, is going to come up with some interesting interesting combinations.
Yeah.
For them.
The hero craft theory is going to be insane when everything's done.
I'm expecting a big uptick in the Dark Summoning Portal when PvP comes out. Like a big
Well, those
one.
heroes are fake, so I hope not.
You think? Wait, what? Say that again.
So those heroes are fake, so I
Right.
hope.
Exactly. Hero purists on this pod. No, we're anything but on this pod. No, I think a lot of the community is right now has decent heroes and they're able to beat the PvE and they're like, this is great. They've gotten attached to these heroes. I think it's going to be a little eye opening when they're going up against someone like Karaket, who is stat maxing, or just someone that's kind of thinking about it a little bit more critically. It might be kind of a slap in the face of like, oh, I need to adjust something to kind of stay competitive at this level.
That's one thing that blew my mind. When profession quests were released, and people started building their heroes around profession quests.
Yeah.
I was dying. I'm like, read the white paper. What are you doing? You're getting like these warriors who have like 20 intelligence, which I mean, that's kind of, I guess warrior's a bad example, but it's like, so like you have a warrior who has like 15 strength and then 28 in whiz, and it's like, why? Like, people just started building their heroes on profession, and I'm like, stop it. Stop.
Well, I think that kind of can be attributed a little bit to the fact that like a lot of the community didn't come in just looking for a game. It was a lot of the people entered through the crypto side of it and were like, oh, this looks fun. Like, I like games, but like maybe don't have the resume is like, you and Guy were just talking about World of Warcraft. You mentioned Elder Scrolls. Like, we've played enough of these games to kind of know how things go. And I think, and that's not to say anything negative about it. It's just they kind of entered through that crypto space. I remember I was talking to someone months ago, and they were like doing their night, and they were like, "Yeah, my intelligence is a little low. I'm gonna guarantee that." And I was like, "On a night, like, you sure you don't want to like min max a little bit?" And I might end up being wrong there because now we're seeing things like dexterity on a night being pretty important. I've never put a point into that, so but it's just it's funny seeing the different mindsets.
I've been pumping int on my warriors.
I mean, mana. We're seeing the importance of mana right now.
Yeah.
It's so with the dexterity on knights, that's something that I've been struggling with a little bit lately. My best knights are missing a lot more against the rock box. I don't know if they have higher evasion or what it is, or if I'm just noticing it more. But I keep kind of looking at those level 10 abilities. There's one level, and when I say level 10, I mean the 10 stat points, the ones that aren't released yet past tier 5. And there's one for the knight. It's a passive that says take your endurance and add that number to your dexterity. So it's kind of a struggle between, hey, do I want this to be good now and I add the dexterity now? Or am I okay kind of holding off, because otherwise I'll be way too, like, once I put that move on, way too towards dexterity, maybe be leaving stats off elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I don't know because my knights right now, none of them are keepers. So
You
that's
gotta
like
make one.
tonight, man.
Go make one right now.
Would you play a lot of D&D?
Me? No, I personally haven't.
Okay.
Maddie's our D&D guy.
So there's a move, and it's been a while since I've played, but like, I think usually you add like strength as your damage modifier. So you'll roll your dice, you'll get your value, and then whatever your strength score is, you have a modifier for that, and you'll add that to how much damage you do. But there's a move called Weapon Finesse, where instead of adding your strength score, you add your dexterity score.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that's kind of what that's like, is that knight ability is, you're not going to have dex, but you're going to have, like,
right.
Your endurance is going to be jacked to the tits. So you get to use that instead for a hit. Yeah, that would be.
Is this where you were? Is that what it's called?
There's finesse weapons, so there's
Okay.
only certain weapons you can use for weapon finesse. It's the weapon feature. Maddie's, I don't know if that's 5.0. I played 3.5 and 3.0, so I don't know. But yeah, like I just remember like being a rogue, and if I didn't take that, it sucked because I had this high dexterity and this low strength, and I'm like, oh man, my modifiers are shit. And then when you take that, it just switches everything up. It's a good.
Well,
time.
It's funny because watching you play boar hunts on your screens, I always it makes me chuckle how angry you get when you miss.
I hate missing.
Like everyone hates missing and everyone gets mad, but I feel like you really show it on your face, and I personally enjoy that.
You just like seeing other people suffer.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Beav
has commented on it, and he's just like watching Dag's camera when he gets rugged on summons, but he's not. But he's on mute. Is some of my. So, what are you doing here?
Yeah, Guy, what do we got?
Nothing overly exciting. So, if you guys look at my wallet, I've got 2 Thief Gen 0s. So, all of my Gen 1s are all Thieves.
Sweet.
I actually have 5 with a Dark Knight subclass because my Thieves are, one's a Thief Archer, one's a Thief. So I was just looking at the tavern, and there were actually a bunch of Archer Paladins pretty cheap. So I just bought 2, seeing if any genes align. So no traits align, which is fine, but still, I mean, a Dark Knight goon wouldn't suck. As well as if I can get an army of them.
Is that a priest Dark Knight over there?
Yeah, I just summoned this guy yesterday.
I like that. I've been thinking about making a like a true war priest. Get 2 priest Dark Knight subs and put in a greater intelligence rather than a greater whiz on it. I don't know if it's worth it in the end, but like I feel like that could really slap with the Holy Wrath.
Yeah, Holy Wrath. There's definitely a build where you can have a pretty interesting priest build. But this was my Thief Gen 0s. This was just a complete miss that 2 Thieves created a priest.
Oh wow, it's a pretty good miss.
Yeah.
Also, we've been ignoring the chat a little bit, so shout out to everybody, but I want to shout out to the Wanderer. We haven't seen the Wanderer.
You want to talk about archers, legendary archers?
Yeah, with Dark Knight subs. He was around more during the Fight Club days, and was always a part of the tournaments, and always did very well with a legendary archer Dark Knight sub that I think is PJ. But it was the type of thing where you go in and you see it and you're like, oh, I have to deal with this fucking thing. And I'm excited for that part of PvP as well. Like, we all talk about our heroes that we like. I mention my archer constantly. But when it starts getting that street cred where other people know about it just from seeing it, that I'm very excited for.
Or there's like a build and they just call it the Franz.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. It's just rapid shot over and over. Oh, can't do that anymore. Never mind. That is what I used to do though. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I think we gotta be careful as a community that as PvP comes, I think there are gonna be a lot of balancing changes and just taking them all in stride as we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are one thing that I I like about it is that talking to Workhorse, not having talked to Beetle Dude yet, but want to one day. They all kind of get it. Like, these are gamers. These are guys that are pulling all this, everything they're doing from some of the great video games. And I think it was when Workhorse was on SI's stream, he was talking about how, like, it's not his job to create a new game. It's his job to, like, take the best parts of other games and, like, fit them together. It was something I'm definitely butchering that quote, but I like the mindset the team has around building this stuff. So
Yeah, and there's a heavy Final Fantasy influence on that team.
right. Well, Hubert said that about 7 times during an interview. He's like, well, in Final Fantasy 11, it's like,
All
okay.
of them have played 11 and 14 and have never touched those games.
Mhm.
Never.
Yeah, I thought it was 4 at first that Hubert had played, but I guess it was 14.
Well, I think 14's another one of the online ones, right?
Yes.
I haven't played any of the online Final Fantasy. I've played 4. Well, 4 because they were talking about the Blue Mage, right? Is it the Blue Mage or the Red Mage? No, it's the Blue Mage, right?
Well, so 4 had the time bar where you had to. It was almost like an active battle. It wasn't as much turn-based, where like your time bar fills up, you can go again. So you had to kind of be quick as far as making your moves. And so I think we kind of got the time bar from that. But I mean, it operates differently. But I think they were talking about that.
I played 4 when I was in like 7th grade, and I was kind of a wimp when it came to games. So like I turned that off. So
and look at you now.
Yeah, well, here I am.
Never mind, you're going to be a crafter, so
maybe.
No, I am very excited for the crafting part of things. I do have about 50 crafting heroes where they're blue crafting with the element match.
Mm-hmm.
They were nobody's looking at that for a while, and I sniped a lot at like 50 crystal.
Yeah, I remember when you blew your cover on stream. And then
and then it was I believe it was Brofessor that had a bot, and he was just beating me on every one. And I was like, well, I never should have said that.
Well, that's the end of that.
I ended up turning my alert off because too many people got caught onto it. And the worst is when you get the alert, you go over to the tavern, and it's already been sniped. That happened about 20 times in a row. I was like, all right, that's enough. Just turn the alerts off.
Which means, like, at a time, you had it right. The alerts had the right filter because it's that sought after.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can't help her like be set to automatically buy certain things that you're looking forward to.
I haven't used that feature yet.
Maybe it does.
I think so.
Maybe making that up. But yeah. And well, I was building a wallet for the PJs. And I was talking to some people about it and got forced into admitting the wallet's existence on stream.
When you say for the PJs, do you mean like pre-PJ days, like a wallet?
No, I mean the next 2.
Oh, you mean heroes that have gone on the first PJ?
No, I literally have a wallet that's like all rares or better, and they're all getting sent.
Okay, but not ones that have the badge today.
Yeah. Well, and then you got guys like Beef who's just like, well, yeah, I have a wallet where I'm going to send all the heroes on the PJ too. It's called my wallet. And
which, looking back, the first PJ, that turned out to be the right move to do.
Yeah. The amount of crystal that you got and crystal opening up. Oh, here we go.
You did get the sub though.
Yeah. I'll take it though.
Was it stoned?
No. These are 10 of 10 summons. Why would I stone?
Fair enough. Yeah, because you stone everything, right?
No, I stone all my Gen 0 summons, though.
Okay.
Because I never know if I'm going to keep them or not. Because my Gen 0s line up on the 2 actives, the passive, the sub, and the primary.
Oh, all of that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, if I get a Mythic, if a Mythic or a Legendary hits, and it's not stoned, and I do the crystal bonus all the way, like, I would be pissed.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I did that with. I got a, and it wasn't a wizard. It was, I think, a Legionnaire Scholar pair, but there was a wizard in the sub somewhere. Yeah. It was a wizard priest Mythic 10 of 10 with double efficient. I ended up selling it for 18,000 crystal. It was great. It was
selling it. It doesn't matter, right?
Right, but that's if it had the stone, I would definitely have kept it. Yeah. I still think I probably should have kept it and just summoned it out, or thrown it in the pit with another, but then I have to find a second Mythic double efficient. You know that it's getting pricey.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to get pricey, like with the legendaries and the rare floor. There's still a lot of opportunity, but above that, I mean, if you want a level 10 legendary to throw in the pit, I believe it's, I want to say like, and we'll see when guy pulls it up before I make a fool of myself here. Okay, not as bad as I thought.
Those
But
are
Maybe I was
that's
looking at
all
Codex
classes.
Heroes. I think I was looking at just Codex Heroes.
but
I
those
think
are
it's
monks
closer to
though. Nobody
1,000.
cares about those. Yeah.
Yeah, so 850. I mean, yeah, I mean, Monk, every time I see a Monk now that we know it's going to be like one of the last ones out, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm very excited for Monk, but I don't know.
Yeah, so that's the thing with that PJ wallet is everything's like rare or better. So it's like every time I put money in, I just go and I scoop the floor, and then I buy I think like 6 legendaries because I don't like paying for them, but
Yeah, I've told myself I'm doing that many times. Just like go sweep the floor of rare or legendary, throw them in on helper, and forget about them for a year, you
yeah.
know, and then they'll be worth a lot. Like I really do think it's a great strategy. I just haven't
Well,
gone
that's
ahead
why I
and
don't
done
have
it
any
yet.
jewel anymore because I'm doing stupid shit like that.
Hmm.
You know, I'm like account building. I'm in like an account building phase right now instead of like a jewel accumulation phase.
Yeah,
Which here's a segue.
there you go. You want to keep going, or you segue into me?
I'll let you take it.
Yeah, no, thank you. That was perfect. Something that we were talking about a little bit before the stream, and something that shout out SI, me and him have been talking about off to the side as well. Kind of a public service announcement, and definitely not financial advice here. I want to be very clear on that because we talk gameplay on this pod a lot, so I feel like we jokingly say not financial advice because it's so clearly not. But like talking about money now, like I I don't know about everyone in chat, but Dax just said he doesn't have a lot of Jewel stacked. I find myself sometimes with dwindling stacks of Jewel because I like heroes and I'm here to play the game. I'm starting to see a lot of chatter on Twitter about Jewel and about Jewel price. And when people outside of the game start talking, it's possible that there's a pumping coming, right? When, how, why, who knows? But it would be really a bad feeling for the community if Jewel pumps to $1, $2, and we're all in heroes and nobody's stacking Jewel. And what happens then is, and again, not financial advice, and I barely know what I'm talking about, but what happens when all people outside the community are the ones that are making all these gains, when they sell that money, they're not selling that for crystal. They're not buying heroes with that. They're not putting that back into the ecosystem. They're going to find the next pump. So all that profit is being taken away outside the ecosystem. So just to say, as a community, maybe we start stacking a little bit more Jewel. Maybe we make sure that when that pump happens, we can filter it down into the ecosystem where it belongs.
All
End
I'm
of
hearing is
PSA.
don't stake your jewel. That's all I heard the
Don't
whole
stake
time.
your Jewel so that you can sell it when you have to. No, I mean, I'm off my soapbox. Anything to add to that, boys?
None.
I mean, there are guys I've been on Twitter where guys will just post Twitter or post pictures of like their accounts and it's got like 30,000 jewel in it, and I'm just like, I'm a freaking idiot.
Yeah,
But it's like
a ton of heroes.
I had a goal to have like 5,000 jewel liquid, and just it's not that much, but it's like that was my goal. And then like the Mythic Squad tournament hit, and I burned all of it making heroes because I only had 2 Void Hunt teams. Now I have 10, and like so I went out and I dark summoned a bunch of heroes with awesome stones on them. And now I'm like, hell yeah, I feel great about my teams. And I was like, oh hell, where'd all my money go?
Yeah, no, all it takes for me is one rainy Saturday
Uh-huh.
where I'm like staying home, not doing anything. It's like, well, have all that jewel there, you know? And I've tried to like replenish it because I have had this thought in mind, but you know, 1,000 jewel here, 1,000 jewel there can make for a lot of fun summons.
With
Um,
all the jewel I've spent trying to make a legendary double giant slayer ninja with a greater agility stone, with a greater swiftness stone, I probably could have bought 2 more Gen Zeros.
Yeah.
It's just rotten luck.
But you're gonna hit that one day, and it's gonna be magical.
And then it's gonna be not meta. Or I'm gonna build it wrong.
And the
or
codex
whatever.
is gonna come out, and
Yeah.
everything's gonna be boosting vitality or hit points for ninjas for some reason.
And Sticks and
Giant
Tricks says
Slayer.
greater stones are
But-
the worst part of the cost, but I love using them.
There's
I
nothing
love
worse than hitting a mythic or hitting something good and not having that greater stone on it. Oh, the
Mhm.
greater stones are just so phenomenal. Especially the vitality. I've been doing a lot of them lately.
And Skiller's done the cost analysis. Regular stones are the better deal.
Oh, for sure.
But,
Yeah, I don't want to hear that.
oh my god, I love greater stones, dude. I hate greater crystals. They haven't done jack for me.
See, I love those. I don't miss
They
them.
never hit. Now that they have that graphic that tells you when it actually worked,
That's a good point.
I haven't seen it hit since it came out on the greater stones.
That's
And
a
I
good
use
point.
them on my mythics. So
Yeah. Yeah. If I get 3, I attribute to the greater stone, even if it doesn't show that graphic.
there you
Personally.
go.
Maybe that's just to make myself feel good. Guy, were you
Yeah.
gonna chime in there?
Yeah, so I had a rough night 2 nights ago, where I lost I probably spent 20 minutes trying to beat the stupid chickens, and it just wasn't happening. So then I went and played a couple boar hunts to get my confidence up, and I lost 3 boar hunts in a row.
I was gonna say,
So I took my 2 Leggy Archers, the only 2 Leggy Archers I have over level 10. I went and bought this Greater Finesse Stone.
And we're
And
gonna
I
do it
al-
right now?
I almost threw them in the pit. And then I was like, you know what? What are legendary archers selling for? So I did the smart thing. And if anyone wants an archer, there's 2 Leggy Archers on floor. So
On
somebody
floor?
take these off my hand
Hold on.
so
Did
that I
you
do
say
not
on
throw
floor?
them into the pit. What's that?
Did you say those are on floor?
Just about.
I don't think that's true. There's no way.
For archers,
Archer, what level?
one of them's 12 and one of them's 14.
All right, I'm gonna put level 12 floor because that is a kind of wow, 4,000 crystal.
Exactly.
I didn't
almost
believe you.
threw
I thought you were just
10,000
kidding.
crystal
That's-
into the pit.
sell your whiff, buy the archer.
Yeah.
It does have double foresight, that archer.
Does it?
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
hitting my alerts all week, and I'm telling him to lower the price or delist it.
And
I had
I'm telling
change
them
my
to
alert.
just buy the thing. This
Yeah,
one has 2
changed my alert.
advanced abilities, and the double foresight guy has explosion, and also still has 9 summons. I'm actually shocked he hasn't sold yet.
Oh,
We need explosion to come out because I am just totally just like I'm like meh explosion.
I think
I'm
it
not
needs a
into it.
change,
I'm
and they
not
talked
into
about
it.
this during the AMA that it doesn't help caster classes very much because it procs off the basic attack. I have a double explosion wizard that I'm PJ wizard. I'm very excited about, but they need to make a little change there.
Do I have any greater stones? Should we do a greater stone summon?
Yeah, we should.
I don't know.
While you look, I did want to add this, and it segued pretty nicely. I was mentioning before that a rainy Saturday can, separate me from all my jewel. So this past Saturday that happened. I took a shot at the workhorse trademarked Kessel run. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, he every so often he calls it the Kessel run. He puts a rare Dread Knight and a basic Mythic hero together in the pit with a greater stone with the goal of, with the floor of getting a legendary. So you have a 50% chance-ish, 37% chance of that legendary being a Dread, but with the ultimate goal of getting the highly sought after Mythic Dread. So I did 4 of them. I was 2 for 4. No Mythics, but I got 2 legendary Dreads. And I was doing the math a little bit. It's pretty, I don't want to say it's profitable because you're still taking a big chance, right? There's a lot of potential downside, but a rare Dread is 10,000 crystal floor. A Mythic basic is 1,000 crystal floor, so we're at 11,000. Put a stone on if you want, don't if you don't want to. But a floor for a legendary Dread, which you have a good shot of getting, is 20,000 crystal. It's a nice little profit margin. As far as, pain threshold, which I think that's within. For me.
I don't own a single dread.
So I didn't before. I had one rare dread before this, but now.
Oh, I thought this was your wallet.
No. No.
That's cool because I only saw the first 2 rows, and I'm like, wow, he's got some really good dreads.
No. If I get a Mythic dread, that thing will be, and that's why I did it with greater stones, because the idea of getting a Mythic dread and not having a greater stone on it would hurt. Big time.
Just think about it's what's it called? It's and Eric, it's Kessing, not Kessel. The bartender's Kessing in Sarandale.
No, Kessel runs from Star Wars.
Yeah, I know that. But it would have been a nice little thing if it ended up being the bartender too in Sarandale. If you got a Mythic Dread and it wasn't stoned, you just got to remember every hero you're making now is going to be burned at some point, unless it's a Gen 0.
Yeah, and then it's gonna just by nature be better than everything else too.
Does this dread look fat?
Yes, that bloater suit.
That bloater suit adds a couple pounds, huh?
Yeah, definitely does.
It's dad bod dread.
Yeah, seriously.
That was one thing that people have been saying too. Is like Vizzies. There's something weird about putting Vizzies on dreads.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think
there's a couple ninjas that look interesting. They look really interesting as a ninja.
The ninja with the Dark Summoner mask is sweet.
I have my thief that has that mask.
Yeah.
I'm liking that. But yeah, just to close out that, I will be doing that again. So hopefully I'll hit a nice Mythic Dread that I will keep. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Did you find something to?
I don't.
No pressure if you don't have anything.
No, I don't have a greater stone that I want to burn. I have a greater swiftness stone. Oh, I guess I have a greater fortitude stone, but I mean, I feel like people would just find that boring.
I mean, you said you don't have a knight. Although I also the hard thing with the fortitude stone is like, wouldn't you just rather a vigor?
Yeah.
Because I have a Legionnaire Dark Summon that I did with a greater fortitude, and like it's great, but it's got average health.
Yeah. And it's like my heroes with high fortitude. It's like, yeah, fortitude is awesome because it puts you in lineup with luck to do those auto cleanses. They never happen to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think luck is. We were talking before about level 100 dark summons, and like, yeah, if you're gonna maximize them, vitality, intelligence, I think luck needs to be the third one there, because you get 3 stat boosts, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think luck.
Yeah,
luck is big.
I like luck. Now I do have a pretty crazy summon that I'm going to do, but I think it's Saturday. I think we're having Brovia on Saturday.
Oh, you gotta do a dark summon with him.
I've got a dark summon for him. Do you want to see it?
You're not gonna dark summon 2 PJs, are you?
Do you want to see my dark summon, or do you not want to see my dark summon?
Yes.
1000%.
Bogside exclusive preview for Saturday night, 9:30. Watch the Jewelers. What do we got?
All right, let me present.
Oh yeah, I'm not on your screen. I've been following your screen as like, when's he gonna show it?
All right,
realizing that was Guy.
Way to go!
Yes. Oh, he's gonna hate this. It's gonna be great.
Oh, it gets better. Watch this.
Oh, I'm excited.
All right, let's see here. Am I logged in? Yeah. Okay.
So what happens when you put 2 PJ heroes together?
Nothing. You decrease the amount of people that can be entered in the tournament. Oh,
Sorry,
why is it? What happened to dark mode? Oh, there we go. It's like, what happened to my look at this shit. It's zoomed in because it's on my TV screen. Look, it's not even good.
Oh my god.
It's not even good.
So you're just doing it just to do it. Oh, it's great. I love it so much.
Is he here?
That's so great.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in the chat. So he doesn't know this is coming.
Oh, he knows.
Okay, he does.
He's gotta know. But
yeah.
Mega's like, dude, if you do that, I'm gonna look away.
That's awesome. But to go back to what you were saying about PJ heroes before, and the idea that you're saving in another wallet for future PJs.
Yeah.
The PJ floor right now is only 555 crystal. Not a very good hero, stat wise, but 600, 650, 666. Like, might make sense to throw some of those in that wallet so that you can go for the
And then,
all
yeah,
4
the
badges
double.
type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Those guys, yeah, I bought those guys at floor. What are the? I mean, the whole thing on that wallet right now. Should I keep adhere to the theme that it's rare or better? What are the rare PJs looking like?
Rare PJs.
Probably significantly more. What's the
Yeah,
score on
I'm
that?
scrolling. So there's a group of them starting at 1850 to 1899.
Okay.
But yeah, it gets pretty scarce after that. And those
Yeah, and I
are
bought like a legendary pirate one recently, and it was like only like I think it was like 4,000 for a legendary one. I think it was like level 8 when I got it, but the legendary floor right now is 6. So
well, I have a kind of a love-hate thing with PJs. I there's definite value there because you get into that secluded tournament, and I'm expecting them to put in more mechanics for it in the future. Like, I think PJ will have an exclusivity value, but stat-wise, just not impressed anymore. I feel like with the advent of greater stones
right,
and the idea that none of them are stones because stones weren't out yet.
neither were
It's-
crystals.
Right, and crystals weren't either. Like,
Mhm.
that plus 15, it's just not hitting the same anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe they'll do something to kind of keep them relevant. Maybe again the exclusivity, just keep doing kind of little PJ only side things. You know?
Yeah, and it's like I have a monk who I think went on the PJ at like level 2, and it's a legendary one. And like the stats aren't even that good. Because part of that too is I was leveling her up. I was using lesser crystals because you didn't have access
Back
to
then,
the regular
yeah.
crystals either. And
Right.
so it's like you can see with my PJs, like I got like level 15s who like some of their stats are barely breaking 40, and I'm just like, this is shit.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I have a bunch of PJ crap that again I'm holding it and I'm still putting crystals on because in a PJ only setting, maybe they stand a chance. Maybe I get good matchups, but I have 2 heroes, a paladin and an archer that are like actual good PJ heroes that I'm excited for, both leggy.
yeah, like my only hope is I have 3 PJ heroes that I use for duels, and they're like level 15, and they still wreck for duels. So I'm like, okay, these guys can kind of compete with level 20s.
Yeah.
So
And by the time land tournaments come out, you'll be at level 20.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Otherwise,
if
I'm
level 30 's out
stampotting.
by then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else you wanted to touch on before we went a little bit over the hour mark here?
No. I mean, just kind of be if people who are interested, Emerson's pink slip duels.
Yes.
Always want to keep pushing those. Because I think it's a sweet idea. Hopefully, they keeps these features out, and we can just automate that. If duels are not out by the 24th, we might have to push that back.
And that is full, correct?
Last time I checked, there was 1 slot.
Okay, so if anyone wants in,
yeah, I don't remember what the buy-in was. I thought it was pretty cheap, like 10 jewel or
I
something
think
like
10.
that.
I think I remember 10 jewel.
So there's really like no excuse unless you're like
Of the
why
heroes,
unless you
but-
think you're gonna lose, right? Or you don't like dark summoning. I mean, it literally forces you to dark summon. So, and then once Emerson's thing is done, we'll have the Jeweler's Joust going. Hopefully, we can initiate the guild competition through that, and I think we'll see some independence there too, where there's just people who don't have guilds, don't want to be in a guild, and just want to kill everybody. So this should be good. Should be good.
There's a place for everyone.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the people who start killing PvP are just going to be people we've never freaking heard of. They're not going to be these.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, no offense to you guys or me, but they're not going to be these dumbass YouTubers who spend more time prepping a YouTube show than they do making heroes.
It's going to be the people who, when they get a cool strategy, they cultivate and keep it private, not the ones that are like, "Hey guys, I got content," like we do.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me tell you the people that'll be So we've got ABZ88, who has a Mythic level 20 PJ Archer. And we got Terra, who has a Mythic PJ Wizard.
Yeah, I've never heard of
Those
any
are
of these
two
names.
people we're going to have to watch out for.
A few weeks ago, I think it was on the Wowie stream, we were talking about high luck archers, and the 7 out of the top 10 top luck archers are owned by one account who I've never heard of. So
Yeah.
there are people out there that are playing this game very seriously and just don't talk much on Discord or wherever. So it's going to be interesting. Okay, cool. Saturday night, 9:30. Barovia guest on the Jewelers. Go check them out.
I think
Well,
he might be
check
the
them
week
out either
after.
way.
Yeah,
Check them out either
show
way.
up.
The 24th, pending Duels, the Pink Slip Duel. Check that out. That's going to be streamed by a lot of people.
Yep.
Guy, anything else?
No.
You got a Gen
Jags,
1 that
thanks for
we've-
hopping on, man.
Yeah, we go give
Yeah,
you Gen
it's
1.
fun.
It's Bottle. We've been hearing
It's
the
bottle
crying.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Congrats,
great.
dude, by the way.
Great. This has been another episode of Bogside Chats. For Dags, for Guy Kid, and for Maddie Pesk, who's not with us. See you guys later. Is that how we
Good
end?
night.
That's exactly how it goes.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Later.
Oh, no, I didn't hit the button.
We're still live.